Today's topic really is something I've been uh talking to a lot of friends about because we all feel tired. I'm gonna be honest, we all feel tired. I mean, if you work a stressful job, you feel tired all the time. If you have kids, you feel drained. And man, every time like you get tired, you feel drained, you feel overwhelmed, right? Anyone here feel overwhelmed sometime? Like so, overwhelmed, you know what overwhelm is? Raise your hand. Overwhelm is when you're stressed out about something, about a task that you were supposed to get done, but you didn't do it. And you know it's coming. And it's like the timeline is closing. There's a deadline. And you didn't get it done. Why? Because you're tired. Now it's piling up, and you're like, I gotta get all these things done. And that's when you get overwhelmed. And it's a level of stress, anxiety, worry, frustration, all combined to create this overwhelm. And guess what happened? A lot of us shut down. Who here shut down? Raise your hand if you shut down. Like shut down meaning you don't want to do anything. I shut down. Some people, they run away to get drunk. They do drugs. They go party. They escape. Raise your hand if you escape. I escape. So I used to. I used to escape. Yeah. Some people drive. Yeah, Renee drive. Yeah. There you go. Some people escape. And that's the one reason I want to talk to you guys about today is the one reason that stops you from taking action. So I remember before I had kids, okay, and I was still in college. I was going to school at this university called ULM in Monroe, Louisiana. Not important school, not a big school. You guys don't need to go research if this was a special school or not. It's nothing important. It's just small town, redneck town, not a lot of people, maybe 5,000 people or less. It was a college town. There was a lot of fields, a lot of corn, a lot of cows. That was it, and a lot of moonshine, a lot of alcohol too. So I went to school there. My sister graduated there. I was failing in college at this big school in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, called LSU. Go LSU Tiger, if you guys know where LSU is. And I didn't do well because I was young. It was like 18, 19. I was going to school there, and I didn't have any parental supervision, so I drank a lot, party a lot, and then my grades just got bad. So for 2 years, I just screwed up. And so I ended up moving to this other school because I told myself I had to make a change. And so I moved to ULM. It was a good decision because I thought it was a good decision because I had to get away from the partying, the drinking, and a lot of the distraction that was getting me into trouble. Because I knew if I had stayed there longer, I swear to God, I would probably be working in the oil fields right now. I wouldn't be here talking to you guys because that's the only kind of job they got in Louisiana is either working for the refineries or out in the oil rigs. So I went to ULM hoping for more focus, but that's far from the truth. I didn't like school in general, so I find most of the things I was doing at school very boring. Who here find it boring going to school, right? Raise your hand if you find it boring going to school. Like we all find it boring going to school. Some of us, I think some of us like going to school more than others. But because, I was on my own, if anyone who ever live on their own, like you got to go to work. For me, I'm an Vietnamese immigrant, coming up with this. I live, I grew up with my parents with this immigrant mentality. So first thing I did was I got a job. I serve at Applebee's. Applebee's is not the great place to work. People are terrible. The tip sucks. I didn't make a lot of money, but they gave me a job, and so I worked there, and I made $30 to $50 a night. And I remember this one time there was this lady that came in, and I swear, every time they sent her out her steak, she touched it, and she was like, "I don't want it. Send it back." And she complained and complained, and eventually the manager ended up kicking her out, kicking everybody out, kicking her family out too, because they were just that type of people. And so that's what I was dealing with. I went to school during the day, and then I worked at night. Now, throughout that time, I was continuing to listen to personal development, reading books, trying to change my mindset. And it was hard. So I kept holding on to this idea of owning my own business one day. And I did this when I was 17. I wrote it down on a sheet of paper, the spiral notebook. I was listening to Think and Grow Rich, and I was reading books about how to get rich. And I'm like, oh man, we're broke right now. We're poor. How am I going to get rich? But everybody seemed to own a business at the time, right? Anyone who owns a business seemed to be making it rich. And I just had this fantasy as if I opened up a business, my life would change automatically. And that one day did come. I was studying with a friend of mine in the library, and he shared with me this thing he had. He opened up his laptop, and I'm looking at his laptop. I'm like, "What is it?" And he's like, "He got this little thing, this cover on top of his keyboard." And he's like, "Hey, you want to sell this?" I'm like, "Sure, why not?" I was like, "Sure," not knowing what I was getting myself into. And fast forward, it was a keyboard cover, the first product we ever sourced. I try to sell it on eBay. We even got a book called How to Sell on eBay for Dummy. Worst book ever. It was for dummies because it didn't help me. Made me dumber. A total failure on the first try. I swear. Nobody wanted to buy this thing. Okay. Either I sucked at selling it or the project sucked. I don't know. The first year was miserable. We made no money selling it online around, and then we tried to sell it around the school. I tried to sell it to businesses, didn't work either. So I literally was like going everywhere I could in this small town to sell it. And wait, well, I did sell it to some friends. Some friends did buy. So always, if you got something to sell it to your friends first. They're the one that support you. And when you're selling to a friend or a family, they'll be like, "Hey, can you do me a favor and buy it from me?" No, you tell them this. You're like, "Hey, I'm starting this business, and is it okay if I charge you? Because I don't want to make this into a hobby. I want to make it to a real business. Do you want to support me?" Like, when you say that, they'll be like, "Okay, I'll pay full price. I'll here. It's instead of $10, I'll charge you $30. Support me in my business." So that's how you should say it. So don't go and say, "Hey, help me out and just buy this thing." But there's a way you gotta say it. And so some of my friends bought it, made like $30, $40. And that wasn't enough. We didn't really get far with that. And your friend's always gonna buy from you. So always reach out to them. So as I'm building this side business, I found another job working at a sushi restaurant. I was a bartender, a server at night. I was working weekends, nighttime to fit my school schedule. I get home like 11 p.m. I know some of you guys probably work late, and it sucks. It's hard. So everybody here has different work schedule, right? And it can be exhausting. And you know what? It always drained me and left me with no energy or anything else. I wasn't able to do anything. I mean, most nights when I'm drained, like I just want to go hang out, maybe grab a drink and then go to bed. And when you try and do so many things, like I was trying to make money because I was broke. I was trying to supplement my income by working part-time at the school as a photographer. I mean, I work at this part-time gig too. It was like $9 an hour during the day during my college. I get 20 hours a week for this work study in college. It wasn't a lot of money, but it helped a lot. And during this time, man, I knew the only time I can work on my business is during the day when I woke up. Any other time after 12 p.m., I'll be tired and worn out because I'm doing all these things to make money. And I know some of you guys here are trying to do things, trying to do something, trying to build something on the side. And this side business that you're building, sometimes you feel like you're so drained you don't even want to do it. But remember what's important. Like, you got to keep showing up. And that's what I did. I kept showing up when I have time. So I understood I had to make a sacrifice on something, right? It was either my school or this business. So something had to be let go. And so eventually, my school didn't do well. I mean, my grades gotten better. It didn't mean I like became like this 4.0 GPA student or this like, you know, valedictorian, right? You ever seen those students where they're like top of the class, number one in the school, and they gave a little speech? No, like I was not one of those. Not too many of those. Okay, I'm not one. So my first and second year really screwed everything up, and then after that, it was just downhill from there. I just kept it as is. The D's turned to C's, and the C's just stayed around that C level. You know what I mean? Like, it never went past that because it was hard to maintain all of this. The truth is, the goal was just to maintain everything and just focus on the side business because I knew that the school wasn't going to help me out. I wasn't going to get anything out of it. And the reason why I was able to just keep focusing, my goal was I wanted to help my parents out by working. And so I had to sacrifice school because if I told myself I didn't want to be a burden because they couldn't support me on my housing, my tuition, my school, my living expense. And that was my way of helping them. Right? Don't be a burden, I said to myself. So I kept working on this business because that's all I have. And I kept working nights and nights after nights. And of course, I was drained. I was exhausted. Most days I was overwhelmed. I wanted to give up. I wanted to quit. So why am I sharing this? Right? Who here feel guilty when they take a break or get rest from work? Like, raise your hand. You feel guilty. I feel guilty sometimes. I'm such a workaholic, and I know some of you guys feel guilty when you're trying to take a break. When you go on vacation, you feel guilty. When you take a nap, you feel guilty. And sometimes you find it hard to go on vacation and rest and sleep because there's things running around in your mind like, I got to get it done. And sometimes it's really hard to wake up in the morning. It seems like every morning it gets harder and harder and harder. And I feel that way sometimes too. Do you feel like your energy level and productivity level is slowly getting worse? Right? People keep saying that when you get older, your memory to get worse. Right? I don't know if it's true or not. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Right? And sometimes are you forcing yourself to push through the day almost every single day sometimes? Is that what you feel? Yeah, I feel like that sometimes. Sometimes I feel like I had to push through the day. And I felt that way before. And to be honest, I think I was headed towards this like kind of this feeling of burnout. Like it was hard for me to wake up, and it kind of became this cycle. And there were times where I would feel so drained and overwhelmed that I just like, man, I don't want to do anything. I just want to quit. And when you don't want to do anything, especially when you have kids, and I know some of you guys here have kids, have family, have children, and that additional stress of the full-time job and your packed schedule, like it makes you want to run away, and then you get demotivated every time you run away from something you got to do. You run away from your responsibility. Makes you feel demotivated, and that's when you don't take action. So what do you do, right? How do you manage the stress of building something on the side and keep going when you're tired and stressed and drained? Is it possible? Some of you might be like, no, I don't think so. It's kind of hard. We got to get rid of the kids. Got to get rid of something. Got to get rid of the job. There's always a catch. You have to make a sacrifice. I'm not saying get rid of your kids. I'm not saying get rid of your job. The issue is, it's not that you don't have time. It's that you don't have the energy, right? Our body, our mind is like a battery. We have energy level. We have an energy cycle. So today I want to talk about how do we recharge that mental battery, recharge that energy that we get, so that we can get the most out of our days and be the most productive, right? Just think of your mental energy like a rechargeable battery. It can be used up. It needs to be recharged daily. If you don't know how to manage your mental energy, and if you're not managing your energy level, it's going to affect your willpower. It's going to affect your decision making, and it's going to affect your overall progress on things you want to achieve. So what happens when your mental energy is low? So when your mental energy is low, you may experience several sign and symptom of mental fatigue, like you get worn out. And it impacts different areas of your life. Different people, man, it messes with them differently. Everybody have a way when you feel tired and fatigued. Like I can see in some of you guys' faces, like, man, I get angry. Some of you might get angry, get irritated easily, right? Some of you get hungry, start eating a lot of stuff, eating a lot of ice cream, go to a hamburger joint, right? Hamburger is like my wife's friend. She loves hamburgers, so it's not great for you if you eat too much of it. So different people respond to it differently, but common effects of low mental battery. I'll just go through a few of them, right? Cognitive function. Let's just reduce cognitive function. Like you can't concentrate. It's not that you got ADD. It's just you're worn out all the time. You're thinking slower because you're worn out. Your decision making is impaired. You can't make good decision. So it's harder to focus on tasks, remember information. It's hard to be creative. And problem solving is a creativity issue, right? You're creative, but you can't be creative if you're tired. Next one is it's the decrease in productivity because now you can't complete tasks because you can't stay on it longer because you're tired. So quality of work suffer. You're more irritable. You're emotionally exhausted. You don't want to do anything. You're emotionally drained too as well. Wow, you got a boyfriend or a husband, or you got a wife. You want to hang out with them. You just want to get some alone time to run away, to relax, to rest a little bit. Yeah, that's the truth. You got kids, you don't even want to mess with them. You're like, hey, go watch some TV. Leave me alone for like 5 hours. I need to recharge. I mean, mentally, like physically, you could have headaches, muscle tightness, tiredness all the time. Your body feels tired. You might have issues with your sleep. You can't sleep well. Man, there's a whole bunch of other, like one of the main reasons for like lack of motivation is mental exhaustion. You don't have motivation to engage in anything. You don't want to do anything. So because you're just tired. And I can go on and on, you don't want to hang out with people, maybe, reduce creativity, reduce, you have withdrawal from friends, family, because you don't have the energy to spend time with them. So let's talk about, let's talk about a way that we can maybe help us regain some of that energy. And that's why I want to share, because our life is always packed with things. And we don't want to feel like we fail because we didn't do something, right? Who here wants to feel like a failure when they have an action item that they want to do today, but they choose not to do it because they're tired, not because they're not capable of doing it? In business, every single problem can be solved. In business, you have to be a problem solver. If you know how to solve problems right now, you can solve problems in your business. It's as simple as that. But if you don't have the energy or the capacity to solve the problem, then you will never want to take action, because now you're tired and you're like, this is stressing me out. This is overwhelming me. And I don't want to sit down and deal with it right now because I don't have the willpower to start. And really, it's having the willpower to take the action. And then once you take the action, it'll just keep moving. And when you don't do anything, you feel like a failure. And so now you're in this cycle, this spiral of like negativity. You're like, oh man, I can't believe I did that. It's okay, I'll do it tomorrow. Next thing you know, 10 days later, you haven't done anything. Because once you feel overwhelmed, you spiral. And that's what we're trying to stop, is that we don't want to get into the state where our energy is so drained that we don't want to be overwhelmed or we don't take any action. All right. So you got to first start thinking that you're an athlete. Okay. The number one thing you have to understand is that you're an athlete. You're not a football player. You're not a basketball player. You're not in the pros. So don't think that you're that kind of athlete. All right. That's a different thing here. But we're athletes in business. This gives us a level playing field with everybody else. As an athlete, you have the highest chance of winning in business, right? We're all athletes. But if you're not treating yourself like an athlete, if you're not eating like an athlete, you're not doing anything like an athlete, how can you compete? So just remember that you're an athlete in business. To me, it's like a mental athlete. That's really what it is. Like you're battling other companies, you're battling other people. You have to operate in that mentality. It's like, man, I'm training. Everything I do is a training. Everything I do is to compete. Every decision I make is to win. I have another analogy with my little brother. He's in the Air Force, and every time I talk to him, I'm like, okay, so where you at right now, man? He's like, I'm in Korea right now, fixing plane. And he's like, hey man, you've been training. So I asked him, like, hey, you been training? And he's like, training in what? I've just been sitting in cockpits fixing fighter jets. And I'm like, what if the North Korean decide to attack you guys? Like, are you just gonna be stuck in the cockpit and then they're gonna shoot you and kill you? But he didn't think about that. I'm just like, hey man, that's the worst case scenario, right? What if you couldn't run away? You're stuck in a plane and the North Koreans attacking you, right? Who knows, man? They're at war all the time in Korea. Have you ever been in Korea, man? The sirens going off nonstop. I swear. I have a lot of Korean friends, and that's what they tell me. And so I have this analogy. I was like, hey man, you're a soldier. Are you prepared? Like, just because you're fixing plane doesn't mean you don't know how to shoot a gun. And I always remind them that you have to prepare yourself no matter what the situation may be, because you might not, like, the unexpected might not happen, but prepare for the unexpected thing to happen. So for example, for you as an athlete in business, you have to start understanding that you have to prepare yourself. And so remember that first. So here are a few things that I have started doing to kind of help me maintain my consistent mental energy, because if you don't have energy as an athlete, how can you keep going? For us, it's more of an endurance game. Business is an endurance game. It's not like a quick win right away. It's never a quick win right now. It's an endurance game. It's how long can I outlast somebody else or another business? How long can you outlast? Because the longer you can last, the more successful your business will be. And the reason why I can say that is because, for 3 years, I didn't make any money. And it took me a long 3 years. And I wasn't sure when it's going to succeed or not. I had dinner with a friend of mine. He came over, really good friend of mine. And it took him like 12 years to make $25,000 to $30,000 a month in the business that he was doing. 12 years. But man, he had seasons where it was hard, because I talked to him all the time. His business is always up and down. It goes up and down. And so how do you outlast? Well, you got to have the mental energy to do it. So the simplest one, number one for me, is you just got to sleep more. And if you don't have a lot of sleep, because as parents, and any parents who have struggled with kids, if you're single, hey, great for you, man. Make sure you're getting 8 hours of sleep, so you're prepared. Right? Every single athlete out there, they sleep 8 hours a day. If you know Floyd, he don't go out to the club to drink. Right? He goes to the club and then run home. He must be doing like 30 miles for his training, right? He don't drink. He go to the club and then he runs home. Go look it up. It's crazy, but that's the mentality you got to have. So for you, sleeping is the requirement. You got to get enough sleep. So it's a simple thing. And for parents, the truth is, if you guys have kids, the kids sleep with you. I have kids that co-sleep with me. So that was a bad habit that we developed, and I can't break it because I love my kids. And when they cry, I get stuck into it. So what I do now is I nap. I used to hate napping because I felt guilty. I feel like I was wasting my day, but the truth is 30-minute nap actually saves me a lot. So I nap a lot. Yesterday, I was so tired, I napped for like 15 minutes on the couch. I just passed out. I don't know what happened. I just laid there. Next thing you know, I passed out. 15 minutes. I woke up and I was like, what happened? And he's like, you fell asleep. And that's what's needed. And I woke up and I started moving again. So you can't not sleep. You can always get more sleep, because that's when your brain is actually cleaning itself out. At least 8 hours sleep. And if you can't, nap. Look at your schedule. Where can you nap? Just fit it in, because your brain without sleep, it can't heal itself. And that's where you cycle a new brain cells and get rid of waste in your brain so that you can have energy. And I do a lot of marathons. I do a lot of training. And every like few hours, that 15-minute nap actually recharges me for me to keep going. So I know it works. You just got to get used to doing it and get comfortable doing it. So if you are working a lot, you're grinding away, take a nap, because it's better. Don't feel like it's unproductive. If a nap makes you more productive, if a break makes you more productive, then do it, right? Instead of doing unproductive work for the next 3-4 hours. I've done that before. Unproductive, distracted work because I'm tired and exhausted. Take time, find time to take a nap. Know your cycle. So that leads me to number 2, which is just drink. The next one is important, man. Just drink more water. Dehydration makes you tired. That's 100%. Just dehydration makes you tired. Drink more water. At least a liter a day. I drink a lot of water. I got my water right here. Every day I drink water. 8 bottle to a liter of water every day. Make sure you put a little bit of hydration salt in it. It helps it absorb into your body. So it's pretty simple. Now let's get to the good stuff. Brain dump. Who here has a place where they dump all the information out of their brain? One of my biggest tools that I use Notion and Evernote. You can use Trilio as well, or you can just use notes on your phone. If you have an Apple iPhone, you just use the notes feature on there. But the reason why you get so worn out and forgetful is because you have so much information in your brain that you're trying to remember. You'll remember certain things and you forget other things because it's replacing what you're trying to remember. So every time you stress about something, every time you're thinking about some task, because I manage multiple businesses. I have virtual assistants that support me. I have like I don't need set up, I don't need to do my own calendar anymore because I forget. Every time I have let's say I have a lunch meeting with a business partner or a friend, I message my assistant and I was like, hey, put this in the calendar for me on this date so that I don't forget, so that I don't think about it. So so every time you're thinking about a task, brain dump it, dump everything out so that now you don't have to think about it and then you can come back to it later. Right? If it's a task that you're not going to do right now, then you might not ever need to do it, but just dump it in a place where you can come back and look into it later. Brain dump. And when you brain dump, you're going to get a lot of that focus back because now you're not thinking about all these things. And that's why the daily journal is so important. The reason why we do daily journal is the process of learning how to write down your thoughts, your struggles, your fear, because you're pulling it out. You pull that information out, and then maybe you can then reach out. If you're struggling with something, you write it down. You're like, okay, these are the things I struggle with. And so here's a tip for me. This is one of the things I do at church. I sit at church. Instead of listening to the message, I'm like, oh, that message is good. And I start asking questions. I ask questions myself, like, what am I struggling with? I start wondering, like, my God, what am I struggling with? What can I do better? What is stressing me out right now? What area do I need to improve? And I start writing that thing down because it gives me a space to start thinking. And then that's when I start having answers for those things that I struggle with. Right? This past Sunday, we were talking about being intentional where we place our time. And it's like, man, have I been intentional or have I been robotic? And so you have to have a brain, an area where you dump all that information. And so I write it on Evernote and then I come back and I read it later because it allowed me to have the mental capacity to think. And so brain dump is very important. Use tools like Notion, Trello, notes on your iPhone, Notion. I love Notion, and Notion is a great tool. It's a little bit, complicated to pick up, but man, it's a great tool to use as a brain dump and just write all your ideas, your stress, your thoughts, the to-dos, everything into this thing so that you remove all that weight from your mind so that you can focus on the task you got. All right, number 4, dude, train your body for energy. Like, I'm gonna be honest, some of you guys work out too hard. I used to do that. Don't work out until you're out of energy, right? Don't physically go to the gym, going hard, lifting heavy weights. It's gonna drain you. This is just a reminder. Like, I used to wake up at 5 a.m. I used to hit the gym really, really hard. Like, I'm talking about heavy weights, deadlifts, squats. And by 9 a.m., I'm just like super drained. I don't even want to feel like focused on work anymore. So it's not great for productivity, but if you move your body, light movement, lightweight, get it in, do it for 30 minutes and get out, that's enough to get your blood moving. That's all you want. Stretch your body, light walk, do a light morning workout, nothing hard. Train your body for the energy, not to wear it out. Like, if you're looking for a six-pack, you're looking to build muscle, like, you're not a bodybuilder. Just work on your diet. Just eat less. Trust me, if you want to lose weight, eat less. Just eat light. And it goes down to number 5 for me. I just eat less. And I maintain my weight because I eat less. It's just a diet tip. It saves you money too. You eat less, you spend less. So, hey, it's a bonus, right? It's a benefit. You eat less, you spend less. And so number 5 is eat light. And this is for me, the game changer for me. Some people I hear tells me they go on this carnivore diet, and I'm like, does that really work? Because man, that's a lot of meat. That's heavy. For me, I just eat less rice and I just eat greens and vegetables for lunch. And man, I used to be before that, I used to just eat everything. Meat, protein, barbecue, whatever. Let's go. And that gave me that really exhausts me. There is always the lunch. I get like this lunch snooze. If you guys have mental exhaustion after lunch, who here get tired after lunch? Raise your hand. Yeah, there's only a few. You guys are lying. I know a lot of you get tired after lunch. Don't lie. You should be raising your hand. I know you guys get tired after lunch. Because why? You're downing a cup of coffee. I'm sure you guys are drinking a Red Bull, drinking something, maybe like a Celsius, because you're tired after lunch because you've eaten something heavy. So just for me, green vegetables, olive oil, and a little bit of rice, that's enough. I'm not telling you to change your diet, but I recommend trying it for a week and see how you feel before you knock it. Right? Eating like steaks, big meal, big protein, a lot of steak, a lot of fish, a lot of, I mean, to be honest, like big, heavy protein, your body takes a lot more energy to digest it. So that's why you're tired. And that's why you need a nap. And I'll be honest, go take a nap after you eat that. Don't eat heavy at night either. So it's just a recommendation, eat light. It saves you money as well. Lighten up the bill. So eat less. Number 6, drink less alcohol or just no alcohol at all. I gave that up. And I'm not saying that it's something that's not fun. I mean, you can do it once a week, but every time you do it, it's just puts so much stress on your body. And the older you get, the more stress you get from it. The truth is, drinking any kind of alcohol will strain your liver, your body, and it will take more than a day to recover. If you're younger, then maybe you can recover better. But for me, I want to maintain a body that can perform. And I go back to Floyd, he don't drink. That man was smart. He knew that he was getting paid to be the athlete. So why would he do that? And there was I was listening to this podcast and they were talking about how football coaches they pick players, specific players, because it's not because some players are like top pick. To pick certain players because they know that this guy will make sure that nobody else will go out and party before a game. Why? Because when you go out and you party and you're drunk, you're tired, how can you perform in a game? Right? You're getting paid millions to do that. So for you as an athlete, you got to start taking care of your mind and your body. And any type of drinking or alcohol that you put into your body or any drugs that you put into your body, it slows you down, slows your brain down. Number 7, take some micro breaks. Work 30 minutes to 40 minutes and take a break. Get used to doing that. And that's a cycle that I always do because for me, my attention, I notice my attention breaking when I am focused longer than 30 to 40 minutes. I have a timer on my computer when I work. I have a timer on my phone, and this works. After 30 minutes and 30 to 40 minutes, man, I feel myself getting distracted. Like I don't want to do this anymore. So spend 10 minutes, take a break, walk around, go take a nap for 10 minutes, listen to music for 10 minutes, do something, move your body for 10 minutes, just do something else and then come back. Micro breaks, and you do it throughout the day so that you don't get overly drained. It gives you time to recover. All right. Number 8 is you got to know how to say no to things. Start to say no to anything that will put more mental stress on you. Going to events that doesn't contribute to your goals, making commitments you know you don't need to make. You got to start making sacrifice right now because your future depends on what you sacrifice right now. It's not going to be forever. So remember, it's not going to be forever, okay? Say no to things. Learn to say no. If you don't know how to say no, it's important to start saying no now. You can say no today. Like say no to some friends if you have to. If they sent you a text message, just say no. I'm not going to answer that. Right? A friend's texting you doesn't mean it's an emergency. Say no to business opportunity. Say no to TV. Say no to anything that does not add to your mental energy. Say no. Because when you give your attention away, it's draining your energy. Saying no is important. Saying no to anything that does not contribute towards your goal. Like I know there's things that are important, so continue doing those, but you got to start saying no. Oh, number 9, you got to get blood work done. So get your health checked. You might be deficient in something. I take a lot of vitamins because for me, they told me I was pre-diabetic, so I don't eat a lot of sugar anymore. I didn't know I was pre-diabetic. I'm 36 years old, and I'm pre-diabetic. Guess I ate too much rice. growing up. So, but it's all right, you know, it's okay. For me, that's why I eat less because I still maintain good energy. But get yourself checked every single year. Get it checked. Make sure you're not deficient in some vitamins. Like for me, I take Gabatone, I take vitamin D and fish oil. That's what I do. And that helps. Apparently, Gabatone is supposed to help with uh your mental health. Some guy told me that his response time was a lot better because I was training Muay Thai, and he told me that taking Gabatone increases response time. I'm like, oh, there must be a benefit. So think about the vitamins that can help you improve your health, improve your energy level, like cordyceps. Instead of coffee, you can take cordyceps. It's like a type of fungus mushroom that gives you energy. It works really well for me. So get your blood work done, see where your health is, see where you're deficient, and then try some vitamins. All right. And the last thing is always important. Track your activity. A lot of us don't track our activity, meaning having this activity inventory of what we do every single day. Write everything down so you can start figuring out like what are the important things that we're doing, what are important the things that we aren't doing. Which area are you wasting a lot of time and energy? Like, who knows a friend and a coworker that have a lot of negative drama, and when you talk to them, it just drains your energy. Like, just 30 minutes with them, you're like, man, I'm tired. This person got too much drama. And when you don't know how to identify that because you're not paying attention, you don't have to pay attention to it. Just write it down. Like I talked to Cindy, and yeah, for 30 minutes, and just write down how you feel afterward. Like, man, you know, drain my energy. She got too much drama, too much baggage, too many boyfriends. Right? She keep telling me about her boyfriends, whatever it may be, too many girlfriends. But if it drains your energy, eliminate it. That's where you come in and know how to say no now, because you know where to say no. You got to track your activity. I track my activity every week. I reflect back on what are some of the things that are wasting a lot of my time. And you know what? Sometime I'll be on my screen time at 10 or 11 at night, and I'm like, I shouldn't be on this phone. So what I end up doing was I made my phone black and white. I don't know if you guys know what black screen is. Like, I forgot what it's called, but it's just black and white now. My iPhone is just black and white. Sometimes I can't even read my GPS because it's black and white. But for some reason, it removes the stimulation from my phone, so I don't really care to look at my phone anymore because it's so boring because it's black and white. And I do that on purpose because I don't want to be stimulated by the colors. And so when you track your activities, you become aware of what activities are wasting a lot of your time. Is it hanging out with friends? Is it, you know, talking to people that wasting a lot of your time, going to events that you don't need to go to, like maybe spending a task on like shopping for furniture, or looking at things that you don't really doesn't really help you reach your goals, because we have an objective. We all here with an objective. So track your activity and then eliminate it by saying no to those things, or just start getting rid of it. So the reason why we are not motivated, or the reason why we're not taking action, is because we're mentally drained all the time. And by the time you want to take action, it gets really hard. So then you get demotivated, you get overwhelmed, and you don't want to do anything. And I promise you, this cycle will continue to happen if you don't make a change. So by knowing this now, by knowing ways to kind of get some of that energy back, you can then re-energize yourself so that you can take action. So when you don't want to take an action, go take a nap. When you get home from work and you don't want to start doing your product research, go take a nap. And see what happened, right? Get up and set a timer and be like, okay, I'm going to do this after this nap. I don't want to do it right now, but let's take a nap and do it. Athletes only perform well when they take care of their mind, their body, and their spirit, so that you can ensure that you show up every day, because this is a game of endurance. I just want to make sure that you guys are reminded, like, you got to take care of yourself. Take care of your mind, take care of your body, take care of everything, so that you can show up to do the work, because you have a lot of potential. And if you don't take care of yourself, how can you reach your fullest potential?